Today, we are talking about an empire. But this isn't one from the history books with armies and conquests. Nope. This one started with a pretty quiet idea back in 1994. An idea that, well, it grew and grew until it started to control how the entire world shops, how businesses even function, really how power works in the 21st century. So how on earth did that happen? Let's get into it. So it all starts right here. Not in some shiny corporate tower, but in a garage. I know, it's the classic startup cliche, right? But what came out of this garage wasn't just another company. It would become a fundamental piece of the world's infrastructure.
So, what was the spark? It was this number. In the early 90s, a Wall Street guy named Jeff Bezos noticed that the internet was growing at over 2,000% a year. That's a kind of explosive growth that most people just couldn't wrap their heads around. But he saw it for what it was, an opportunity you just couldn't ignore.
And that really brings us to the big question of this whole explainer. How did that little spark, that one statistic, turn a simple online bookstore into one of the most powerful and dominant forces on the entire planet?
To figure that out, we have to start with the man himself and the decision he made. A decision that, at the time, his coworkers literally called crazy. To walk away from a stable, very high-paying job for something that was a total shot in the dark.
What's so interesting when you see it laid out like this is the choice he was facing. I mean, on one side, you have the safe bet, the secure path, a great career on Wall Street. And on the other, a completely wild bet on this new thing called the internet. He chose the uncertainty, all because of that one explosive number.
The strategy at first was incredibly smart because it was so focused. Bezos didn't try to build the everything store right away. He started with books. And why books? Well, they were kind of the perfect product for the internet back then. They're simple, they're easy to ship, they don't go bad, and a website could offer a variety that no physical bookstore could ever hope to match. And from that little garage, orders didn't just trickle in, they absolutely exploded. Okay, so as the company started to take off, it adopted this business philosophy that just completely baffled Wall Street. For years, critics just did not get it. It was a totally counterintuitive model that cared about one thing and one thing only. This was the mantra, get big fast. 4 words that basically defined Amazon's entire strategy for decades. The key thing to understand here is that Bezos did not care about short-term profits, not at all. He was focused on one thing, market share, becoming the go-to default place for online shopping. Profits could come later. Dominance couldn't wait. And this chart illustrates that strategy perfectly. For years and years, you can see Amazon's revenue just shooting up. But their profits, they were either tiny or, a lot of the time, they were negative. Every single dollar that came into the company was poured right back into the business, building new warehouses, developing better tech. They weren't just spending money, they were building what's called a competitive moat, making it almost impossible for anyone else to ever catch up. They were playing the long game. So this get big fast strategy fueled their whole path to where they are now. First, they went from just books to, well, everything. Electronics, clothes, groceries, you name it. They were becoming the store. But the real masterstroke, the absolute game changer, was Amazon Prime. That fast, free shipping created this incredibly powerful hook that just locked customers in. Suddenly, shopping anywhere else felt like a huge inconvenience.
So, it's an amazing retail story, right? But the thing is, the store that we all see and use, it was actually masking a much bigger, much more powerful business that was being built behind the scenes. So, what was the real engine driving this whole empire?
It turns out, behind all those massive warehouses for moving boxes, Amazon was building a completely different kind of infrastructure, one for moving data.
And this is the secret weapon, Amazon Web Services, or AWS. See, while they were building their own giant online store, they got really good at managing massive-scale computer systems. So good, in fact, that they realized they could start renting out that computing power to other companies. Today, AWS is the real moneymaker for Amazon.
And just think for a second about what actually runs on AWS. A huge chunk of the internet, really. Your favorite streaming services, tons of tech startups, huge global corporations, even parts of the government. So Amazon isn't just a store we buy from anymore. It's the digital foundation that a massive part of our modern world is literally built on. This goes way beyond retail. This is about control.
But, like with any empire, this incredible growth, this unbelievable convenience, it didn't come for free. And pretty soon, stories started to come out about the human cost of all of Amazon's incredible efficiency.
This slide really shows you the two sides of the Amazon coin.
For us, the customers, it's incredible. One click and a box shows up at your door. It's seamless. But behind that magic button, reports from inside the warehouses have described just intense pressure, every move being tracked by algorithms, and really high rates of employee burnout. It makes you ask, what is the actual cost of getting that package so quickly?
And that whole complex reality, the undeniable convenience on one hand, and the really tough questions it raises on the other, that brings us to today. Because now, Amazon isn't just another big company. It has woven itself into the very fabric of modern life.
I mean, just look at this trajectory. It starts with an online bookstore, then it becomes the everything store, then the pivot into being the backbone of the internet with AWS. And now the ambition has literally left the planet with ventures into outer space. The scale of this thing has never, ever slowed down.
So we're left with this really big question. Is Amazon just a revolutionary company that made all of our lives way more convenient? Or has it become something else? A system that's so big, so essential, that we've become completely dependent on it without even realizing it.
And maybe that's the key takeaway here. Maybe the most powerful empires in history aren't the ones that rule by force. Maybe they're the ones that become so useful, so woven into our daily lives that we can't even imagine how we'd live without them.
And if we've learned anything from its history, this empire, built from one idea in one garage, well, its ambitions are nowhere near finished. It's only getting started.